Oh, you can see we're one member short tonight. James is still off celebrating his birthday, so it's just me and Joe. Joe, how are you doing?
Good, mate. Good. Just the flat boys tonight. The flat taking care of the flat. We've got the some good racing in Curra.
Yes,
I'm off
do.
to York on Saturday, and we could potentially have a superstar of the season out at Haydock on Saturday as well. So some very, very good racing to look forward to, mate.
Yep, can't wait. Right, let's get stuck into it. None of this chit chat that James does. Let's get fired in.
Let's get
So the first one is Haydock, the 150, the Temple Stakes, 5 furlongs. Who do you like?
I think, to be fair, mate, I think it's a tough race. Obviously, we've. I mean, I know up here in near York, we've had a bit of a deluge rain, and the ground's gone from looking good, to the top side of good to soft. And I know it's soft down at Haydock, and that could be a concern for living the dream. And talking of living in the dream, I quite like Vardream, to be honest. He won on soft at Newmarket last season in the Group 3, beating Living the Dream. He's had a few good comeback runs this season. And I don't know. I just think the 5 furlong on soft will suit a lot more. Now, I know his win was on 5 furlong soft ground at Newmarket, but he did have a few good runs over 6 furlong at Ascot on good ground. So I think he will be able to get the 5 furlong soft if they go a right gallop. And it wasn't a bad run at Newmarket last time, finish ahead behind 7 questions, beating Beautiful Diamond and a few other decent ones in behind as well. T-Spirit, who's run pretty creditably recently. You can get 5 to 1 now, but he's had a prep run. He'll go on the ground even if it is heavier or soft. And to be honest, I just think, for me, he is the rock-solid option. He's going to go on the ground. And, I mean, the second favourite there, the Aussie horse, I mean, I can't see soft in the description where he's run really since 2022. So that's probably a question mark. This might be just to sort of bring him over for Ascot or whatever. But I think for now, for me anyway, I think Vardream's probably the angle in the race at 5 to 1.
Yeah, I mean, I happen to agree with you. His best form last season came on testing conditions. He finished second, like you said last time, on good ground. So you'd have thought, given the water and the rains come, that it's going to be perfect for him. So I'm in agreement with you. I mean, he's drawn quite high, which I think is what you need at Haydock over this sort of distance. I do like Beautiful Diamond, but
3-year-old. That was the only thing for me, a 3-year-old. And only had, 4 runs last season, 1 run this season. Did run creditably, but when you look again, all of the forms on good. It's got good in the description. You need a sort of a horse that's going to go on the ground, because we know what it's. Remember Big Rock last year. Horses that loved soft ground at Ascot. And you go through. You don't get many where you've got soft ground at these big meetings on the flat, but when you do, it is normally a turn up for the books, isn't it, in terms of like funny results and whatnot. So yeah.
Like I say, Beautiful Diamond, the ground's going to be an issue for me. So yeah, the Dream's the one. I think we're in agreement there. I mean, Cole's 11 to 2, 3 places each way. I think I can't see him outside the top 3.
No, that's not a bad bet at all. No.
So yeah, happy days.
I think you might see a few non-runners come Friday night, depending on how much rain falls at York and Haydock, and probably maybe at the Curra as well. But I think the weather's been all right over there so far.
Yeah, I'm going to be on weather watch definitely for the Irish Guineas. So we'll see what that brings. Moving on to the 225 at Haydock, the Sandy Lane over 6 furlongs. I think this one's going to be pretty straightforward, but who do you fancy?
Like you say, mate, no beating around the bush tonight. And yeah, Van Dijk. I think William Hill opened up even money, which I think was a bit of a steal, to be honest. Just it doesn't have a question mark over him, does he? One in Deauville on very soft. That was, one of his most impressive runs. He's had 4 runs last season, two with soft in the soft, one on good to firm and one on good to soft. He's won every one. He's rated £9 higher than the closest horse in the field, which is Insurin. This horse is just going to be too good. I think this is a real weapon, to be honest.
I'm in agreement. I mean, he's no sort of price. I think he's 4 to 6, 4 to 5 on something like that. But like you say, he's a multiple Group 1 winner. One over in France where they do get proper soft going. I can't see many holes in him, to be honest. The only one I can probably nitpick at is that he's not got the race fitness on his side. If I was going to have an each way sort of angle, I'd probably go for Prosangu. Is that how you pronounce it?
Prosangu or whatever. He won at York when I went last season, and that was soft ground on 6 furlong, and he stuck his neck out quite gamely. He did run pretty well at Ascot, to be fair. Yeah, that is a decent, sort of win of the race, to be honest. He had a fair few runs last season as well, which probably stand him in decent stead for this. But yeah, I do think, obviously, we know what this season's been like. Even the big boys, your Gosdens and your Aidan O'Brien, a lot of them haven't fired first time out. So I think at 8 to 11, as much as I do think if he's fit, he wins, I wouldn't really be backing him massively. I did tell one of the lads, Matty, to get on when he was even money because he's heading down to Haydock, and I thought, well, even money, it's going to be shorter on the day, but for me, not being there, I'm going to be at York. I won't be going out my way to back him at 4 to 6 or whatever.
No, it's maybe one for the accumulators that you stick on the Saturday. But yeah, the bold in each way horse. I mean, he's already had a run, so he's got race fitness. He's probably about 8-9 to 1. That's a pretty decent each way sort of price. I mean, he was second to Big Evs. That was over 5 in the Molecombe at Goodwood. So that's pretty decent form in my eyes. So yeah, I think those two will be with a shout, maybe a forecast.
100%.
So, right, next up, we'll go to York since you go in, and it's the 320, the Bronte Cup, the Group 3, I think it is. What are your thoughts?
I think I'm not too sure, to be honest, mate. I think it's a bit of a trappy race. Gather your rosebuds. Obviously, you had the prep run. I do like River Stars, as course form. Then again, it hasn't run for 274 days. But to be fair, any trainer this season who you want a horse to be coming back from a break is Rafe Beckett. He started the season very strongly. So for me, is this a golf podcast? I've just got
to. Tommy Sheldon, is this a golf podcast, Joe? Well, you're doing some holes after this, Joe.
Yeah, I wish, mate. It's pouring down here. But yeah, I do like River Stars. Has form on heavy ground last season. A decent form at Goodwood. Beat comfortably by Sumo Sam, but in behind there was Time Lock and Free Wind. Slightly disappointing this season, but the form does stack up. And the thing for me was his reappearance last season was in this race where he won. And we've seen it sort of last Saturday, when I mentioned Giavolotto, it's the same route in, and a lot of people, I feel like because Jumps is so big and Cheltenham's so big, when you see like a Langer Dan name pop up, or, the same horse in the same race the year after, it's sort of remembered. Where a Group 3 in York, I'm not saying it's the same caliber, but it isn't. But what I'm saying is it sort of goes under the radar a bit more. So I think maybe, this could be, I'm not saying the main target of the season, but he knows how we're getting fully prepped. He won the race last year. He beat Mimikyu, he beat Voodoo Queen, he beat Typewriter, who, are decent-ish horses. They've obviously saved him for this again. He's got form on heavy ground. I know Gather Your Rosebuds has had a run, but this is his first time at 1 mile 6. For me, 7-2 isn't a bad price. I expected shorter, to be honest. I know it's not an each way play, but I do think a lot of these in here, like your Marie's Rock, El May, I think they're just thrown in here for me. I'm ignoring the Irish Raiders and I'm going with River of Stars.
Okay, not bad shout. I mean, obviously we've got Marie's Rock in here for Henderson. It's quite an interesting runner. I mean, she's 9 now. I don't think she might be up to this, but yeah, I quite like gather your rosebuds for me for Shannon.
Yeah.
So I mean, he won last time out at Goodwood over 1 mile 3. That was on soft. There was Queen of the Price and Sea of Roses back in second and third, and they're 2 horses that I quite like. So I think that's quite decent form. I mean, Sea of Roses is out tomorrow. I think she's at Goodwood, maybe. So, yeah, I mean, she could frank that form, and I think he's about 11-4. I think that's quite a good bet. I mean, one at a crazy price, Shagpile, bottom of the odds. Drawn 1, I think, is quite handy, actually. But, I mean, at a big price each way, I think I might have a little pound each way on that, just in case, you never know. But, yeah, Gather Your Robot's probably the strongest bet for me in this.
Yeah, 100%.
It's a bit trappy, bit tricky to nail the colours down to 1.
Yeah, 100%, mate. And then, is that us done in England?
That is us done in England. We are now heading across the water to the Curragh. We'll start off with the 230, the Greenland over 6 furlongs. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts, mate, is the 2 Irish Raiders, I think, deserve to be at the top of the market. And for me, if it's good to firm, to be fair, I don't really think it matters. I am pretty keen on Art Power. Irish Raiders won last year over Curragh, has a decent record. Won the Group 2 over 5 furlong, and he won it pretty impressively. He won by about 4.5 lengths or something against Moss Tucker, who's third in the market. And the one thing people might say is, it's only a 10-day turnaround traveling and stuff like that. But when he won here last season on soft ground, it was 7 days before he ran at Newmarket, and he come fourth in the Group 1, and he was only 2 lengths behind Shaquille that day. So, this horse clearly doesn't take the runs too harsh on himself. And I just think maybe they've thought, well, we'll do a similar sort of thing, not the same route and the same race, but, we'll have a nice little run at York. We'll leave a bit on him, and then we'll get him over to Ireland, get the sun on his back. And I feel like he can turn the form around against Should Have Been a Ring. Flew home at York, but I feel like this is Art Power's Gold Cup, if you like. And I do think, although he's 4-1, and I can't really see him getting gambled in because it's a Tim Easterby runner. Normally, if it was an Aiden favourite who'd won a Group 2 last season or whatever and been highly tried, he'd come in for a bit of money. But just with it being Tim Easterby, I might hold off and try and wait 4 or 5-1, see if any Irish horses get backed in. But I do think he's the one to beat. But I have a little feeling that there's a horse in here, Rich, who's ridden by Ryan Moore, that you will be going into the race with. Am I right?
You are right, but before we go on to that, Art Power, he's a quirky little horse, isn't he? He'll bomb out 4 or 5 times in a row and then bolt up by 4 or 5 lengths.
It's a Tim Easterby thing now.
Just depends how he feels, doesn't he, I think, on Saturday.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, I am going to go for an equal love for Haggis. Ryan Moore's on board. I think she's about 20-1. So I think I'll take some of that each way. I mean, she's drawn quite low, but she's drawn with like Moss Tucker, Should Have Been, Erin, Regional. I think she's got some good horses around her, and I think that's going to help her. She was impressive last time out with her seasonal reappearance. I mean, it's a big step up. I think this is a Group 2. I think she's only won at listed level, but Haggis was very bullish about her after she won last time out. So I think they're expecting big things this season from her, and I hope she can progress. And I think she's got some good value at 20-1 each way. So
100%.
My more on board. you wouldn't want anybody else, would you? So
No, exactly. And I mean, it's mad to think where she's come from, and she won a race off at 85 last season. She's rated 102. You see it all the time, don't you? The horses who come right through the handy. Well, we've seen it tonight with the chorus. Who was it we ran about at the Stain race? Come second to Sweet William. I'm sure that horse won off a mark of something like 70 2 seasons ago. So you see it and you just don't know where this horse is at. And, getting a bit of weight and Ryan Moo, getting a bit of weight off the Colts and Ryan Moo on, it's definitely a good combination.
I mean, she won at Pontefract. If you can win at Pontefract, you can win anywhere, in my opinion.
Exactly.
So,
James, the Pontefract form, if you're watching.
Yeah, there we go. We'll find out. Right, the big one on the Saturday then, the Irish 2000 Guineas. Like I say, we've got a couple of UK races coming over. It looks a poor Guineas to me. I mean, it looks wide open. Especially if the rain comes, that's not going to help the favourite. But what you saying, Joe?
I can't see anything other than Resallian, to be honest. I thought was, to be totally honest, unlucky to bump into Noble Speech. I think that thing's a weapon. I watched Oshin sort of commentate on the race, and I think at one point everyone thought Resallian was sort of, going to cruise home. Sean Levy come off. He was pretty confident that he could turn it around or whatever, and they were going to get straight back on the season with him. I think the Curragh will suit sometimes. With the form at Newmarket, horses can handle a dip and they can't. I'm not saying that's an excuse for Resallian, but it was the first time he had handled the dip. I know it's the first time at the Curragh, but I feel like it's a bit of a fairer track. He's rated higher than all of these, and I wouldn't like to be back in River Tiber with the layoff. Hartem, Richard Hannon, Jamie Spencer's on, which isn't a bad booking for Hartem because he's going to stay the trip. But Sean Levy obviously got the pick, and we know how keen they are on Resallian. And apart, in the top, out the top, what is it there? 5 in the betting. You go down to Atlantic Coast, who's 50-1. Everyone in the top 5 of the bettings, either Aidan O'Brien or Richard Hannon. And it's definitely going to be out the top 2, in my opinion. And I just think I'd definitely be on Resallian after his run in the English Guineas than River Tiber after a 238-day layoff. I think they've spotted an easy opportunity to get Resallian's head in front, to be honest. Nah, I can't see him beat, to be totally honest.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. I mean, obviously, he's the best horse in the race. For me, it just depends on the weather watch, how much rain is going to fall. I mean, if it's good to soft, would probably be as bad that he wants it. I mean, if it is soft, I don't think he's going to play to his strengths. But I mean, the field is probably that weak that he might get away with it.
100%. I mean, his run at Longchamp last season was on good to soft, and I do sometimes think it's softer than they say over there. His bad run come on soft at Doncaster, but he did get hit by the whip in the last furlong. Now, I don't think that would have made a massive drastic, change in the result, but I do think the step up to a mile soft ground would be the question mark. I agree there.
Yeah, I mean, he looked like he's the winner of the UK version. And then was it Notable Speech just came from nowhere?
Yeah, it's hard to sort of see with the dip whether he tired out or whether the better horse won and he was just going away. But like Sean Levy said after the race, they know Hartem stays a mile and stays a mile well. And obviously he won over Newmarket in a Group 3 over a mile. So he said his reasoning of that he could get a mile was Hartem didn't come towards him. So it's hard to know now. Even money is probably still a bit short, but when you look through the field, it is pretty weak, isn't it? I mean, I think a lot of these, Atlantic Coast, Bright Stripes and Take Me to Church, for me, are all in for probably a handicap mark or a prep run. Same as Mountain Bear, unquestionable.
Oh, definitely. I can see Rosalie and Hartem 1-2, personally. I like Hartem. I think, like you say, he obviously gets the mile. If it does become soft, I think he's the one that's going to prefer it rather than Rosalian. You can just see Spencer now doing what he does, coming late and potentially just nicking it. But
I was just about to say that there, to be honest. I think it is a pretty good jockey book in that, because he's going to get it, and I just think, yeah, you're probably right there. Jamie Spencer could upset a lot of people, couldn't he?
I mean, you get 3 places, and he's about 6-1. I think that's quite a decent bet. I mean,
Yeah.
the favourite, if the rain doesn't affect the ground as much as it could do, I mean, he just wins, doesn't he? But at Hartem at 6-1 each way, I can't see him out the top 3. Not in this field. I mean, River Tiber, yeah, he was all right, unquestionable. I'm sure Brian said that he wasn't 100%. I mean, Ryan Moore's not picked him, and then you've got Mountain Bear, Atlantic Coast. Never even heard of the last 2. So, I mean, yeah, 3 places. I can't see Hartem out of it. So 6-1, that is probably the bet each way, just in case Spencer does time it to perfection and potentially nicks it.
100%.
But yeah, that's the Saturday. Right, we'll move on to the Sunday. This is slightly trickier because obviously we've got no declarations. We'll start with the Gold Cup if you want, Joe. Is there anything you want to mention? Anything that stands out?
Can you trust Augusta Rodin? That's the question. I mean, if the top Augusta Rodin turns up and Luxembourg sets the pace, which I imagine he will, and Augusta Rodin's sitting in behind in the pocket, Ryan moves out and gets the lead and does it nicely, that would not surprise me. But I just feel like at even money, that is a big, big risk. I'd rather be backing Rosalian at even money than this lad at even money, because I feel like Rosalian, you're going to get a run, you're going to know he's fit. Where here, I mean, after seeing the Augusta Rodin last season and after seeing the amount of times he blew up, I mean, the only positive thing was he blew up twice last season and both runs after he won. So, I mean, he could come on leaps and bounds for that, but I do think, it is going to be pretty tough here. But, Aiden's going to have the race ran to suit. I'm not too sure. I was there when Elegant Man won at Newcastle. And he was carrying 9.12, which was a decent weight. And he made the running, and he made it by about 4 lengths all the way around. He's about 7-1 here. I just feel like David Egan wasn't too hard on him at Newcastle, and you were just expecting them to close and close. And every time they sort of come near, he just kept finding a little bit more, and he was giving a fair bit of weight away. And I just think he won the race so easy. He could have a small chance. He's probably the one in here who you don't know where he's at. But Augusta Rodin, if he turns up, but if not, it could. I don't know. This is a tough race. I think it looks it does look a very weak race for me.
Like I say, you kind of go in on blind faith that Augusta Rodin is back to what we know of his 2-year-old form. I mean, if there's anybody can do it, it's O'Brien. I mean, he's odds on. I would probably be leaving him. Like I said, I'd rather back Rosalian around evens with the question mark about the ground than is Augusta Rodin going to turn up. If I was going to have a bet, I'd probably back White Birch each way. I think it's about 7-1. Definitely goes in the soft ground if the rain does come. I can't remember. Did she run in the Derby? I don't know if she did.
Who's that?
White Birch. I think I'm getting mixed up with somebody else. But yeah, I think it's a solid option each way at 7-1, 3 places. Like I say, it's probably not a race I'm going to get heavily involved in. So it's only a tentative play.
No, yeah. It's not a massive race. Yeah. White Birch did run in the Derby, finished 3rd.
I thought so.
Yeah, got beaten 5 lengths, 4 lengths behind King of Steel.
Yeah, so I mean that's probably the angle I'd probably go each way on that. I mean, it was good to firm in the Derby. Obviously needs a soft going. Probably going to get it on Saturday. So yeah, an each way sort of play it'll do me on that, I think.
Fair play, mate. Good shout. And is that us on to the last?
The last horse, yes. The last race, sorry. The 1,000 Guineas. This looks, again, quite open to me. What are your thoughts?
It looks a pretty good race, mate. But like you say, it is very open. Fallen Angel, that's the interesting one, was jocked up pretty early. 6-1. Now, Carl Burke said straight after they shouldn't have left her as fresh as she was at Newmarket. We sort of seen it, didn't we, for all the big horses who had a big reputation coming into the race, who didn't have a prep run, didn't really fire, but has got some serious form last season, and probably with match fitness on her side here, I think will turn the form around with Porta Fortuna. I think, in my opinion anyway, 6-1 isn't a bad price in this, really, because, like you say, I think there's a few that are going to have bigger targets later down the line. I think it's a bit of Rosalien vibes, is in we've got Aidan O'Brien's first string to beat, Porta Fortuna to reverse the form with, and really that's about it. I know Vespertelio, did that finish third in Longchamp? But I wouldn't be really worrying about that. And obviously ran a good race in the Group 1, but I wouldn't really be worrying about her. Fallen Angel beat her comfortably last season. Oshie mentioned, didn't he, obviously when he was in the race, that Fallen Angel didn't run a race at all. And yeah, I just think Carl Burke's not in bad form, is he? I think, for me anyway, I know Opera Singer's been talked up of one of the horses of the season. For me, I'll be taking Fallen Angel at 6-1 over Opera Singer at 2-1-ish.
Yeah, it's not a bad shout. I mean, each way player probably go along with you. Out the O'Briens of the weekend, I think Opera Singer is probably the strongest shout. She's probably the one I probably would side with. I mean, she won at Longchamp back in October, I think it was, the Group 1. Probably not the strongest Group 1 I've ever seen, but I mean, she won by 5 lengths quite impressively. So if she is primed and ready to rock and roll, I think she's the one that is probably going to win. But like I say, Fallen Angel got the prep run, probably going to get a lot closer than she did in the UK 1000, that's for sure. But
yeah, 100%. I think that's the one for me. Like I say, it was jocked up pretty early. Clearly, that's what they thought. She didn't run a race at all. That was the one who I was disappointed with, although I wasn't on her and I was on Dan Sequence. I really did think she'd run a better race than that. Was only beaten 4 lengths really, but was seen to have been beaten a long way out. But that's the thing for me. Beat Porta Fortuna 5 lengths last season. Beat Vespertelio 3 lengths last season. Really, if she returns to form, she's got Opera Singer to beat at 6-1. I don't think it's bad at all, really.
No, that's a fair point. Yeah. So I think it's going to be, like I say, quite open.
Yeah, it's a great weekend of race, and it's probably one as well, for your trackers. It's going to be, a fair few horses out. I mean, Rogue Millennium's running at 25-3. That one at Royal Ascot last year. Joseph O'Brien is now training, but is entered in the Ascot race again next season. So that's probably one to look at. These are a lot of good racing, even at York, Haydock, Curragh. You've got it all, and I know it's not a massive calendar in the English side, but it certainly is in Ireland. And I just think, we see Aidan has had a slow start the season. Maybe is this the turning point for him? That maybe this is the one where you think, right, I'm going to look ahead now. Am I going to look to see where Opera Singer goes before she runs and back her? Because she's going to come on for the run either way, in my opinion. And if she does drift out again, you're going again. But I think it's going to be a massive weekend for anti-post betting for Ascot and the sort of great Group 1s and the classics.
Yeah, for sure. We're going to find out. Like I say, it's been a bumpy start to the flat, so hopefully things will calm down and we'll start getting some consistency. But is there anything else you want to mention for the weekend? Anything else?
I mean, I hope everyone who's watching this watched our little eye catcher series with Jason Watson. He mentioned the horse at York for Saturday. I know Tudhope's obviously heading to Ireland now. David Nolan's on board, Dark Cloud Rising. They think a fair bit. Drawn Storm 12, but if you can get a decent-ish price, there's a lot of newcomers here. But if you can get a sort of little word that a horse is pretty straightforward and doing well, that's half the battle. Cork is a quick returner. Shane Greon. Yeah, I think that's one thing in England, especially Carl Burke, Danny Tudhope. You're not going to see Danny Tudhope, maybe a few others here, but there is one very, very interesting thing. Rachel Blackmore comes over to ride on the flat at York, and she has a few rides, to be honest.
Did see that, yeah.
Yeah, she has a ride over the 1 mile 6, and she has a ride over. Wait, was it that one? Yeah, she has a ride over 7 furlongs.
That'd be interesting.
For Richard Fahey. Very, very interesting. But as York form as well, finished against Ziggy's Condor the last meeting, only 2 lengths beaten, so off a mark of 78 then, off a mark of 77, now being brought down a pound for finishing 3 lengths, 5th. 10 days later, she's brought back out. I don't know. Is that a positive thing that Blackmore's come over? Is that a good positive jockey booking, or is it a bad one? I'm not too sure. What do you think, Rich?
It's an interesting one. It's definitely one to watch. I'll probably be watching rather than backing, but no, interesting. Yeah, you've mentioned Corker. That's the one I was going to mention as well. Apart from that, there's not a lot else that stands out to me, but I think we've mentioned some decent horses, a couple of each way sort of values. You got a napping next best before we finish up?
100%. My next best, I'm going to go for Fallen Angel each way. Try and get a bit of value.
Not a bad shout.
Who's your next best?
Next best, I'm going to go for Unequal Love in the Greenland.
I
think you're 20 to 1 with more on board.
To be fair, I didn't really look that far down. I'll be totally honest, Rich. I'm quite surprised she's 20 to 1. I think I'll be having a bit of that.
I mean, she's up in class quite dramatically. I mean, she's won a listed level, but this is a Group 2, so we'll find out how good she really is. But, I mean, Moore's on board. I'm hoping she can hit the places at least at that sort of price.
100%, mate. And my nap is River of Stars at York. I just think it's the exact same vibes as Giavolotto, campaign for this, back to York. And I do think York, I think York form's pretty key. We see it all the time, but Ross Ryan's back on. I'm pretty hopeful of this one at 7 to 2. And yourself, Rich?
My nap's going to be the Irish 2000 Guineas, but it's all going to depend on the weather. If it's good ground, my nap is Rosalian. Yeah. If the rain does come and it does turn soft, then Hartem each way at 6 to 1, I think, is a cracking bet. I don't think he'll be out the 3. And like you say, Jamie Spencer could just nab it at the end. So they'll be the bets. One
question: if the rain does get pretty bad and it's soft ground, do you think they would pull Rosalian?
I can see it. Potentially, yeah. But I mean, the race looks that weak that they might just think, well, we'll try it just to see if we can get that Group 1. But yeah, I mean, if it does come soft, I think Hartem is a great shout, and I imagine the 6 to 1 won't last very long.
No, agreed, 100%.
Right, that'll do us, I think.
Yeah, that's it. Been a good little sharp podcast, to be fair, mate, but I've enjoyed it.
Another weekend will soon be here. We should be back next week with an episode of the Weighing Room. Hopefully we'll get somebody sorted out for that. And yeah, James will be back for that, and we should be back for another preview for next weekend. So until then, like and subscribe on the YouTube channel as always. And,
down below.
Yeah, down there somewhere.
Yeah.
And yeah, good luck whoever you're back.
Pleasure. Back some winners and stay out the way of the rain. That's what I say.
That'll do me. Right.
Pleasure.
Joe, it's a pleasure. We'll see you in a bit.
See you in a bit. Take care. Goodbye.